Hey guys, welcome back to the Cool It Podcast. Welcome back to episode 50. On today's episode, we're going to be giving a roundup of match day 9, I believe, of the World Cup. We had another round of exciting games. We had Cameroon, Serbia, which ended in a 3-3 tie. We also had South Korea play Ghana, and that ended in a Ghanaian victory, 2-3. We also had a Brazilian victory, which ended in a 1-0, and Portugal rounding off the day with a 2-0 win. Now, let me introduce my co-host, Alex.
Hey guys, how's it going?
All right, Alex, let's start with the very first game of the day, Cameroon, Serbia. What were your thoughts on that game?
Well, I thought it was a pretty crazy game to be honest. I didn't really expect that scoreline to be what it was. Um, I gotta say, both teams played really good attacking football when it mattered. Um, of course, I like I said, I just didn't think this to be such a evenly matched game. I expect Serbia to dominate a bit more, as in my opinion they have more quality players, more
Yeah. Hmm.
well-known players. I thought, hey, maybe they're gonna get it, but Cameroon the Great and coming back and just holding their own. I thought it was one of the most interesting games of the World Cup thus far. I would have to
Yeah,
say.
yeah, it was a very interesting game. The game started off with Cameroon winning. They scored the very first goal, and like right before the second half, they managed to score two, and Serbia were winning 2-1. I think believe going into halftime, and then in the second half, uh, Serbia kind of like slipped away, and they went 3-1 with a two-goal margin ahead, and then Cameroon just like managed to pull it back. And then that was a surprise because the emotions that both fans were feeling must have been so crazy.
Yeah, no, it was obviously these are teams that are not expected to dominate at a higher level. I think this is where we can see them at their best. No offense to their team, but I just don't think they have the quality or the management to go forward. But you never
Okay.
know. But yeah, no, I thought it was a good game. I think this Cameroon team is better than we make it to be, right? Because
Yeah.
you look at the game against Switzerland, it was 1-0. And I understand Switzerland dominated that game, but at the same time, you gotta consider this is a team that, for the most part, doesn't have the firepower that Switzerland has or many other major teams. And to be honest, Serbia has significantly better
Yeah.
players than Cameroon. So I think they're playing great as a unit right now. I think they're beating the odds. They're defying what a lot of people thought about them, myself included. I didn't think they were gonna do as good as they've done considering the situation. And Serbia surprised me. I expected them to win this game, and I'm not saying they're playing terrible. I know Brazil is always a hard team to beat, but I think they needed the points from Cameroon. I think that was as easy as it was gonna get for them, because now Switzerland, I don't see that happening. I generally see the Swiss team dominating. But then again, it's this World Cup, so we never
Yeah.
know until all the games are played.
Yeah, who knows? Now this draw opens a possibility for both teams qualifying because if
Mm.
Serbia would have won that game, they would have gone, I believe, into second, and the possibilities of going into the next round would have been much greater. Now instead they have to beat Switzerland. They have to beat them for sure, because a draw it wouldn't help them, and hope that that Cameroon don't beat Brazil, which most likely won't happen. But this is now like an uphill battle for Serbia. This result like blew the whole group open, and Switzerland Serbia, that's basically gonna be winner takes all scenario. Um, and talking about Switzerland, we now move on to their game, which they played against Brazil. Now Brazil only won 1-0. Serbia were I don't believe Switzerland. Yeah,
Switzerland.
I don't believe Switzerland created that many chances against Brazil. Once again, I believe it was just like a matter of time just before Brazil were able to show their talent, um, and get the goal. But Brazil are through to the next round. Well, what do you make of that game?
Well, I mean, we expected them to. Well, I mean, I still expect them to win their last match as well against Cameroon, but
Yeah.
we expected Brazil to win. I just, I don't think they played bad by any means. I just think they felt Neymar's absence a bit more,
Felt
and
never
this is
got.
a player that a lot of times gets disrespected because of sometimes the way he plays. He's a very flashy player. He gets hit a lot. People call him a diver. Everyone dives, and yeah, I get that. Maybe he does it a bit more than others, but he undeniably gets hit a lot, and he has such an impact on the team as a player who creates chances. He's normally playing in the left wing, but with players like Vini, who are more well suited for that position and the way Brazil plays, he's good at the at that midfield cam role. And listen, I think when Neymar in that team in that game, it would have been a different scoreline. However, you look at the result and you got to learn something from this encounter, right? Switzerland are a team that they're gonna give they're gonna give someone headache. They're gonna give someone a headache
Yeah,
because
definitely.
we obviously weren't expecting to be creating chances left and right and making Brazil defend because obviously Brazil is a superior team when you look at their
Exactly.
players. But I thought they played excellent defense. They locked down a lot of the players, especially on the wings, and I thought they were very compact. They were very well managed, and I think it was essentially a matter of bad luck that they lost because yeah, Brazil, they created a lot of chances. They had a lot of close moments, but you look at the goal, which was a good volley by Casemiro, but it goes in because of a deflection,
Yeah, yeah.
right? So,
But it was still a good strike
oh no,
from.
no, no. Listen, I thought it was a great goal. It's one of the best ones we've seen so far. But of
Yeah,
course, the deflection helped. And other than that, I don't think it would have been a goal because I think Zummer would have got into it. But again, fair play to Brazil. They played a good game. They did what they were supposed to do. And yeah, they're through as we
yeah.
expected. I see them with very good form right now. And we just have to see, right? Because of course they haven't faced some of the harder teams. Which again, same case for teams like England, France.
And we've seen these teams like struggle to get their
Right.
wins.
So I think if we're gonna look at current form, I would have to put Brazil up there with France right now,
Yeah, yeah, that definitely is still one of the favorites to win like the entire tournament.
for sure.
But what I wanted to see in this game was how Brazil coped with the absence of Neymar.
Well,
Um,
and we saw that they took a different approach, right? They took a slightly more defensive approach. They had Fred and Casemiro in the midfield.
yeah,
And when I say defensive, I mean, these two are players that aren't really chance creators. I mean, Fred, when he's playing well, he can sort of do that. He can, pass the ball around well, but he mainly stays outside the edge of the box. So he takes a more defensive role. And I thought they did fine with him. Obviously, this team isn't at its best if Neymar isn't playing. But for the meantime, considering they have Cameroon and they're waiting for Neymar to be fit, I think it's worked. I just gotta see how they play today. I mean,
yeah.
well, yeah, they do play today, yeah. No,
No, no,
yes,
no,
tomorrow, yes,
yeah, tomorrow.
right. We'll just have
Um,
to see how they play. But yeah, overall,
Actually, not tomorrow, but Friday. For they play on Friday.
right, yeah, because they're the last group of people to
Yeah,
play. Yeah,
yeah,
that's my bad.
yeah.
Um,
The last group.
yeah, overall, I thought it was a decent game from Brazil. Nothing crazy. And they got the result that they needed, so that's all that matters.
Yeah, I was actually like the cameo from Bruno Gamais. I don't think I'm saying that right. But the Brazilian midfielder from Newcastle. He actually had a very good cameo
Yeah,
in that game. I don't know if he's going to be starting any more games, but he's a good option off the bench.
I would
Um,
start him personally. I would put him in that midfield.
exactly. He was linking really well,
Hmm.
and it was very interesting to see how Brazil coped with it without the absence of Neymar because Neymar is not going to be in contention for this next game against I believe Ghana,
No,
and no
against Cameroon.
Cameroon, and possibly not even in the first game of the round of 16. So Brazil are going to have two games and a couple days of training to basically fine tune how this team is going to play without Neymar because I don't think without Neymar they can win the World Cup. I believe with Neymar they definitely have a solid chance, but without him I don't think so. And so they're going to have to prepare intensely in these next couple of days for the upcoming games.
Yeah.
It's just going to be like that simple.
Yeah, I think they can do it without him. It would just be much easier if he's on the team. He's a great player, and
Hmm.
we've missed him at Barca, and he's a joy to watch.
Yeah, yeah. But The another game that happened, the last game of the day, was actually Portugal and Uruguay. Portugal and Uruguay, they ended in a 2-0 win for Portugal. I believe that I don't think Uruguay created that many chances, except for example like the Valverde run,
Right.
or his no, the Betancourt run,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
Valverde shot which hit his crossbar. No,
Yeah. Yeah, right. Betancourt had that really good chance. Well,
yeah,
that was a great play. Reminded me
yeah,
a little bit of seeing Messi take on the defense with the body
yeah,
feint. Um, Listen, I think it's been a. I mean, as someone who's always liked watching the Uruguayan team because they always perform.
yeah,
They're a team with they're a team with balls. There's no better way to say. You know that they've never been a super team, although they've had good attackers, the likes of Diego Forlan, Cavani, Suarez, but they've never been like a very well-rounded team, and they always perform at a good level. So I've always liked seeing them play. But you look at this World Cup, I think more than anything, they've been underwhelming.
yeah.
Um,
They haven't been able to score any goals so far in this World Cup, and
yeah, and
offensively they haven't been great.
yeah, no, and they definitely have the team for it. Their attack is, I think it's very good. Obviously, Cavani and Suarez are older now, and they're nowhere near their prime, but they're still class players. Form is temporary, but it's how they say it, form is temporary, but class is forever, right?
Yeah,
And and then they also have the likes of Darwin Nunez, who maybe hasn't had the best season at Liverpool, but he's been solid.
yeah,
And I don't know. I look at their game against Portugal now and the game against South Korea. They were missing that attacking football.
yeah. That attacking football wasn't present in their game.
Right, and
Um,
when we look at, for example, individual performances, I thought, and it's not even a fan bias, right? Because he plays at Tottenham, but I thought Rodrigo Betancourt had a crazy game.
a crazy game.
I,
No, no, no.
I thought he played insanely well, and
Mhm.
not just that run,
He did
but
well.
he was getting balls back. He was pushing the game forward, and he's not necessarily a very creative midfielder. I mean, he can do it, but he's mainly defensive, and we see he has a great work rate,
Yeah,
very quick, strong player who's not afraid to make good tackles. But I thought Darwin Nunez was very lackluster. Same with Cavani. Suarez came on in the second half, tried to get a result, couldn't really do anything. He missed
it didn't go their way.
a shot in the box. Yeah, and listen, Portugal weren't great in my opinion. Yeah, they were creating chances and they were attacking, but it's what they were expected to do. And I thought Portugal was a bit underwhelming as well.
Yeah, but Portugal got the win, which is the most important thing.
No, of course they're
They
through.
have 6 points. They have 6 points. They're through to the next round, and that's the most important thing because now they can start. Because after the group stage is a completely different tournament, and the
Yeah, no.
confidence in their games is going to be huge.
I just think this Portuguese team hasn't. I mean, they've created chances, but it's not really that they haven't had the best finishing because they have that team has finishing for days when you look at the players they have. But
Yeah,
I think it's just been a matter of maybe not getting the right passes when they matter. Like I see a lot of crosses that go wide or don't really hit their target, and your crosses got to be halfway decent if you want Ronaldo to score,
yeah,
even if it's with his hair.
yeah. And
um,
but even though Ronaldo didn't score in that occasion, it was very key that Ronaldo was. Props to him. It was key that he was in that area because if he's not there, the keeper grabs the ball.
well, of
Keeper
course, because
grabs-
the keeper was fooled by the fact that he was getting
Yeah,
a header. I get it, like,
exactly.
but overall, I didn't think Ronaldo has been playing great.
No,
Um,
I don't think so either.
Obviously, it's hard to compare him to Messi when they have such different roles. I mean, we obviously know who the goat is, but when you look at the way Ronaldo's been playing, I think some people are being a bit unfair to him just because okay, Ronaldo's never been a, a chance creating player. He's
No.
always been a finisher, even as a left winger. Maybe the most chances he created was at the beginning of his career when he would play right mid, right wing, left wing. When he
Yeah,
played a
but
more traditional winger role.
yeah,
But
but that was so long ago.
yeah, he's a great goal scorer. He's one of the best we've ever seen, if not
Yeah,
the best. Um, I mean, for me, he's one of the best. I think Messi ultimately
yeah,
scores more goals, um, but we look at stuff like that, and he's such a great player doing that. But I don't know. I just think he hasn't had a lot of game involvement, and it's not always his fault, right? Because he's a striker. They want him to be in the box. They want to get balls through to him, and he's been there. I just don't think the crosses from Bruno Fernandes or Joao Cancelo, I don't think they have been particularly great. Although I've seen a few that he's missed because he's mistimed. But I don't know. This Portuguese team doesn't give me any confidence moving forward. I think they're very weak defensively. They give a lot of chances away.
Hmm.
Um, but we would have to see, right? Like you said, group stage World Cup is one thing, and
And
then
then
on
the
top
next one's
is different.
another. Uh-huh. But just like how Uruguay have to win their last game against Ghana, South Korea are in the same exact spot.
Yeah, they
Um,
gotta beat Portugal.
they
That
have
that
to
would
be
be crazy. To be
yeah, they have to
honest,
be
I don't
Portugal
see that
because
happening.
I don't see that happening either. Because in their game against Ghana, I believe like they were really unlucky with some of their chances to not
Yeah,
basically equalize.
I thought overall Korea played much better than the Ghanaian team, and I like the Ghanaian team because they have a lot of good players that are nice to watch.
Kudos.
Such yeah, and Tyreek Lamptey, I think he's been good.
Mm-hmm.
Ayu,
Mm-hmm.
he's been good too. It's just when you look at the way they played, Ghana just they sat back. I hate teams that park the bus. Ultimately, that's what they did. They didn't have that much ball possession. They parked the bus a lot, and but they score when it mattered, which is something you can't say for Korea. When they were given, and I knew this going in, I was like, hey, listen, on average, the Ghanaian players are taller and stronger. So if they get crosses in the area, South Korea are gonna have to be great defensively because they are gonna get punished
Mm-hmm.
because it's the height difference is apparent. I mean, I know Korea have a couple tall center backs, but that's just two players. The overall the team is shorter, and unfortunately for them, Ghana got some good chances from the free kick, from I think also from a corner. They might have scored. I don't remember exactly.
Um, well, it's better to run my, but I believe it was a couple mistakes.
Right, no,
Um,
no. Of course, there were some defensive, big defensive errors from
yeah,
Korea. I think defensively, they've been a liability. That team, hasn't been great at that. But one thing that I'll say about Korea, they surprised me. They're a very ball possession heavy team, and they like attacking.
yeah. They were putting all the pressure
Oh
on
no, for sure.
Ghana,
Even when they were
but they
losing,
were able to break them
um,
down.
I mean, even when they were tied. Well, of course, you expect teams to keep going after the result, but I don't know. I just see teams like England. They might get scored on. They're still passing between the center backs like 3 passes before they make a long ball. But you look at the Korean team. I thought they had some moments where they looked like prime Barca with the way they were building up the game. And I I know his name is Kim something, but their left back was insane that game. Um, he almost even scored a free kick that the goalie had to dive
Oh
in.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I
And
remember
well, the two
it
assists came from
was
him.
such a cool opportunity.
Two beautiful crosses. There were players that I didn't think had a bad game, but just didn't do amazing. Like Heung-min Son. Of course, he's used to playing a very different role than he does at Spurs. He's got to drop back a bit more, and that's not really his thing. That's more what Harry Kane does. So I mean, he hasn't played terrible. He just hasn't. I just think he just hasn't been there offensively. But he's passed the ball decently, created some good runs. But overall, unfortunate for the Korean team. But at the end of the day, good for Ghana. Like I
Yeah.
said, I'm not a huge fan of either team. I would like to see Korea win because of Sun, but Ghana played well when it mattered, and um, from the looks of it, I think they only have to tie to go through right against Uruguay,
The
assuming
group,
Korea doesn't win.
yeah. Assuming Korea doesn't win, they don't have to win. With the win, they would go.
All difference, right?
Let me look it up. They're currently in second place with three. So with a draw, they would go up to four. And as long as South Korea don't win, then yeah, they go through a second.
Right, because then we'd have to look at goal difference, no?
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, it'll be a interesting match day
yeah.
for
Yeah, well, both in Group G and H, especially in, I believe it's the same thing for both groups. It's the battle for second place now.
yeah.
But the group is wide open to see who can advance. It's going to be very interesting to see who actually does advance because there's been some very surprising upsets so far. Um, But guys, that was it for episode 50. We reached our 50th mark. And if, as always, I post a link on Twitter. If any of you guys want to join, you're always welcome to. Just give your thoughts and discussions on what we're talking about. But as always, like, subscribe, and comment, and we'll see you guys on next episode.